Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. This is the Oneness Podcast. I am Jessica Del Mar. I recorded today's episode a few weeks ago when I was bringing through the 3 integrations or recalibrations triggered from the 777 portal of July. But for some reason, this 3rd integration or recalibration kept being pushed back as other information was coming through. And it's interesting because this 3rd recalibration integration triggered by the 777 portal is about divine feminine energy and the shifts taking place within that divine feminine energy. But a few weeks ago, I spoke about the August ascension energy, where the energy of August included a lot of shifts, a lot of polar shifts, including masculine and feminine, as well as timeline shifts, higher and lower timelines, and how they are, the big shift being how they're not necessarily in their polar oppositions, but that we are finding or we're squeezing our way in between to understand what some sort of unification between our polar opposites look like, meaning the opposition of masculine and feminine or higher and lower timelines. What does it look like when we start bringing that energy together? In terms of masculine and feminine, what this means is that in many ways, the masculine energy needs to take a step back in order for the feminine energy to begin rising and meeting it in a center point. And so the vision that came through for the August ascension energy very much was this sort of fire and water energy when it came to our polar oppositions. Before, when I would tune into the polar oppositions, it would present itself more like oil and water, where it's very separating. But now it's becoming more like fire and water, where there can be a union within the fire and the water for new things to birth through. So very much like lava meets the ocean to create new land, fire and water come together to create something from those ashes, if you will, from that rebirthing. It's a rebirthing process when we're able to figure out what that union between our polar opposition looks like. There's a lot to kind of unfold within this information in your own lives, in our collective experience, because it's such a big shift. But we're beginning to see the initial unfolding of that union and what it looks like. And in a lot of ways, it can feel chaotic because you're bringing hot and cold together. You're bringing fire and water together. When the lava meets the ocean, it doesn't go quietly. There's a lot of chaos that rises in the mix of that polar opposition coming together. It's not doing so in a nice, easy, soft, quiet way. It's doing so in a loud, like when that lava meets the ocean, there's like steam, there's like hissing, there's a lot of alchemy happening. So that's sort of like the unfolding that's happening for us. And it's interesting that what unfolded and what continues to unfold in this month of August, at least big in my awareness because I'm from Hawaii, are all of the brush fires happening in Hawaii, especially Maui and the Big Island and now Oahu, and the devastation that it caused on Maui. And I was sitting a lot with this information, and I'll share what's been coming through in a different post, but it's very much connected to this rising feminine energy, that fire energy that I'm tuning into. And the other thing that was coming through for August is the heat, all of the heat waves going on the planet. I was in Phoenix for a few months and really experienced that intense heat wave. And when I was connecting with the sun, it was showing me more of a feminine energy within the sun's energy, versus before, if I tuned into the sun, it would be more of a masculine energy. So everything is connected in terms of that masculine energy sort of grounding more as the feminine energy rises more in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different perceptions when it comes to the fires and maybe how it started or what's going on, the conspiracies and everything like that. And a lot of that we have to remember is on a surface level. It's a surface level manifestation, outcome, perception. On a much deeper level, it doesn't matter how things manifest in our reality. What matters is that it has risen, it has manifested, it is presenting itself to us. How that awakens your internal system, processing system, your internal navigation is going to be unique to every single person. So whether you are hooked into a certain storyline or a certain reason or a certain perspective or a certain conspiracy or a certain whatever, it really doesn't matter, because all that matters is how you are processing the information, how your body is receiving the information, how your energy is shifting through the information that you're receiving from wherever you're receiving it, or however you're taking that information in. However you're taking your reality in is how your body, how your energy field, how you are energetically processing whatever is happening. So just remember not to get super caught up in the perception of things, and instead bring it back to the center, bring it back to your physical form and how your body is processing whatever is coming up for you. So it's showing you something much deeper. And so a lot of the things that are manifesting, it's easy to kind of get caught up in it, caught up in the reasons why, caught up in the global warming, caught up in the conspiracy, caught up in even the fires, caught up in all of these external stuff that we can see happening for us, instead of redirecting that information, redirecting that attention and focus back inward and saying, well, what's happening with my body, my spirit, my energy through all of this that is coming into my awareness? What is my body, my spirit, my energy trying to tell me, or trying to open within me, or trying to awaken within me, or trying to integrate within me? Something deeper is happening that we have to pay attention to internally. And so in many ways, with the rising of this divine feminine, we can see it physically, especially in a lot of the things that we're seeing externally, emitting that divine feminine energy rising. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. In a lot of ways, it's showing us how that divine feminine energy is rising within us. And if we feel a lot of resistance to the things going on the planet, then we have to understand that we're feeling that resistance internally, whether it's triggering fears, anxieties, whatever it might be triggering internally. Take a look at what you're feeling in response or reaction to what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, what you're seeing unfolding outside of you. We're being asked on much deeper levels to open, to expand, to allow. And so every time we're feeling resistance, we are constricting, we're closing, we're resisting. And so be very mindful in terms of however you're feeling, whatever you're feeling. And if you are feeling any sort of resistance, stress, anxiety, compression, closing of energy, then you want to really work with how you can open that up within you, how you can ease that energy within you. Because the more that you open that energy up within you, the more you allow for that rising, that undeniable rising of divine feminine energy to move through and lift through you. Because in a lot of ways, we are, as physical human beings, a channel for greater creative source energy, which separates into divine masculine and divine feminine creative energy to move through us. And so we act in a lot of ways as these filters for that energy to move, for that energy to shift, so that it's not stifled, because the cap, the cork can no longer cork this greater divine flow of energy in anymore. And so it needs to find ways to release. It needs to find areas, crevices of this physical simulation, if you will, of this physical reality to move, especially with divine feminine and divine masculine. They are the creator foundations of everything that we see, of everything we have ever created. And so that deeper energy is boiling. It's rising to the surface like a volcano, and it's going to go somewhere. And because we've corked it for such a long time, only playing with the energy that already exists, it's like old energy upon old energy upon old energy. It's all of that deeper energy has to come through. It's going to move through the cracks. And we as human beings are kind of represent those cracks too, where energy can rise through us. The earth literally opens up to allow that energy through in terms of nature, volcanoes, earthquakes, all of those things to allow that energy to move through. So we just have to be very mindful in terms of how we're feeling when we meet these external manifestations, especially these big things that can trigger a lot of deep feeling resistance. And so we're simply bringing all of that to the surface, diving into areas of resistance that we're holding internally that we may not even have realized we were holding until something big happens in our physical environment to show us that we're holding it because of our reaction or our trigger or our response to whatever we're experiencing. So just keep that in mind. And the other interesting thing is Hawaii being the center, the heart center of the planet, one of the heart centers of the planet, and having this enormous event being triggered on the 8/8 Lionsgate portal, which I also spoke about a lot of that fiery energy within that Lionsgate portal as well. But anyway, let's talk more about this divine feminine energy and how it is shifting in a lot of ways for us. And in understanding how this divine feminine energy is shifting, we can move with it. We can allow it. We can not have it take us by surprise, but welcome it in, embrace it. Moving with it means shifting our own internal energy to align more with the flow of that divine feminine energy rising, so that we're not in resistance to it, but we're fully allowing the processing of it. Spirit is telling me right now that our bodies are ready. Our bodies have been prepared for this greater creative energy to move through us in these new powerful ways that I would say even 2 to 5 years ago, our physical bodies would not have been ready to receive these this greater flow, influx of frequency energy, creative frequency energy through our bodies. Our bodies have done so much since 2020 to acclimate to energetic shifts and changes. And so we're ready to embody and to allow that energy to move through us at this moment. And if you can ease through it, because it's going to feel uncomfortable, you're going to feel discomfort. It's not going to be easy. It's not even going to feel easy, but you can do it if you can soften, sink into it, allow it, ease through it. Then that allows the polarity within your own physical body to begin to merge together and become more in union, which then births, like I was saying with the fire and water, when it comes together, it can birth new things. It births new land, new creation. And so we're in that process right now. If you can find that sort of middle ground, that center point, the point of ease and expansion in between the polar opposition. in this episode, I want to talk about part 3 of the 777 portal activations that we've been talking about. So these are 3 integrations or activations happening on an energetic level that kind of prepares us over this next year or so. And it was triggered by the 777 portal in July. And these 3 integrations or activations are recalibrations. They're recalibrating us on the energetic level, on a subatomic level, in order to invite a new sense of reality and beingness into our experience. And so the first recalibration was all about shifting grief and how the body holds on to grief. Once that layer starts to shift and we're no longer creating based upon the grief that we're holding, the things that we create start to look very, very different. The second recalibration is of our inner truth and what it means to align more to that inner truth, what it means to us through purpose, potential, and priority in order to help bring more of a clarifying experience, in order to bring more clarity to our experience, in order to know exactly where we're going, and in order to follow that inner feeling of direction and know what that feeling feels like. And this third integration or recalibration is divine feminine. This is a really exciting recalibration because this energy of divine feminine or divine mother has been coming through so strongly, triggered by that 777 portal. Now you're going to see this all around you, and this is a significant shift because it's literally shifting how we are creating our experience from the heart space rather than the mind space. And this shifts so many things in our experience as we drop more into the heart. And it's connected a lot to the first 2 recalibrations of inner truth and grief, because divine feminine or divine mother is such a healing and nourishing presence in our lives right now. And so it's actually upholding or embracing those first 2 integrations or recalibrations of grief and inner truth, meaning divine feminine or divine mother is responsible for all of these shifts happening at this time because of her potent force of recalibrating everything in our experience. So this recalibration of divine feminine is very different, and it's very powerful in shifting our experience and shifting how we are creating within our experience from a heart center. Divine feminine or divine mother is awakening, quick and strong. Her force is gentle yet fierce. We can quietly take her energy in through the sun at this time, whose rays are signaling her growing energetic nature. Divine masculine or divine father is taking a step back at this time to allow his divine counterpart to truly shine. She is center of the stage. So divine masculine or divine father is providing a supportive, providing and yielding space, holding the grounded earth steady so that divine feminine can lift higher than ever before while still feeling strength and groundedness. Her warmth is not an unknown force to the earth, but unknown to humanity at this time. She has risen many times before, many lifetimes before, but it is the first time we're meeting her face to face in this lifetime. She is exuberant, is what came through as her feeling, to meet you all once again, to feel in presence with you, to nurture your growth, and to enhance your well-being as she guides you on the path towards what many of you call a new earth experience. To the Divine Mother, it is simply an awakening to an inner truth, which redefines the experience you have on earth at this time. It is an awakening of the senses, so that you can see yourselves on earth much differently than ever before. It is an awakening of the heart, so that you can feel yourselves on earth much differently than before. And although this is a great shift of the self, there is nothing to fear, because all are immensely guided if you can align yourself to the feeling of this guidance, found in the heart, encapsulated in truth, expressed through presence. Divine feminine force is not only a force of warmth and heat, but a force of birth and growth that radiates through the warmth and heat. If many of us feel the temperature of the heat as strong as it is right now, Her energy penetrates profoundly deeper than anything we are feeling. It integrates straight into the heart center. She is not a force that asks you to act upon power and greed, but she is a force that asks you to be all of who you are, directed forth from the heart. This is not a selfish act, but a selfless state of loving kindness. And in this age of divine feminine rising, we will know 3 powerful ways her energetic force works through all living kind, activating and integrating this divine life force within us all. So the first way that her energetic force is working through us is that her energy is all-knowing, meaning no truth is left unturned, no falsehood is granted access. All false forms of the earth will be banished to a lower frequency grid and will not be granted access to the new energetic grid being created right now. The mother's heart knows the truth of every living creature upon the planet, and there is no running or hiding from her knowing. Your heart is what radiates your inner truth, and the Divine Mother knows all of her children. She is not looking for the ones most successful with money or establishment or things, but she knows the ones most honorable in love and truth and sovereignty, and plants within them the ability to rise up and create the foundations of a new earth that is built upon the truth of their very hearts. This all-knowing energy awakens and activates the inner knowledge within all of us, which simply means that we align with our inner truth and guidance while letting go of the false illusions we were once guided by. The awakening of inner knowledge and truth means that we begin also creating by these very things, ultimately shifting the way that we live in presence, purpose, and power. The second thing being activated through this divine feminine rising, this energetic force, is that her creativity is heart-centered, meaning all things birthing during this time must resonate with the heart frequency of the planet and Divine Mother or Divine Feminine. This means that your purpose at this moment is to become in alignment with your heart center in order to exist peacefully in alignment with the heart of the Divine Mother. All things not in alignment with the heart will feel the wrath of her force moving against the grain, but all things in alignment will feel the energetic surge of her creative expression entirely from within. Being centered in your heart will allow you to feel in alignment with all the shifts and changes occurring outside of you, truly feeling like you are moving with the flow instead of against it. You become like a chameleon, adapting to the swiftly changing energetic scenery without resistance. You embrace the changes and feel the energetic support, no matter whether you understand what is happening or not. You trust in the force you are moving with. But if you're unable to maintain a centered heart presence, you will feel the resistance of the ever-moving energetic landscape. And this may feel highly uncomfortable to the human form. It will feel like being sucked up into a raging dust storm. You can certainly find your way through a dust storm, but it will require you to get into your heart, to see the way from within, and feel the hand of the Divine Mother there, guiding you every step of the way. So this heart-centered energy awakens and activates a sense of loving kindness within us all. It works as patience, compassion, and even an open imagination. It is playful and fun as long as you move with it and feel how it's moving you into new and expansive places to explore more of who you are. For those who are unable to move with it, it may become overwhelming, competitive, and burdensome, feeling more restrictive despite an invitation into expansion. And the third powerful way this divine feminine energy is rising within us is that all things are nourished and nurtured by her warmth and heart. In the reception of her nourishment, a new sense of being is established, which reconciles the heart's purpose and potential within a human experience. a renewed path takes shape that leads many people in completely different directions than they thought that they would be or they thought that they were going. So expect to flow with the changes and experience life in a whole new way. Nourishment from the Divine Mother is a sensation of feeling like you are being cared for from deep within, which impacts the way that you receive nourishment and nutrients from external sources. So, for example, the food and nutrients of your lives are not only ingested externally, but grow and expand in alignment with the nourishment you already have within you. The nourishment already within you is what embraces everything into alignment with what already is, rather than thinking that, for example, what you're eating is going to impact you into a certain place where you are not. Nourishment is received through pure experience, as if your skin absorbs the energy of the experience you're in, much like it absorbs the sun's nutrients. You absorb the energy of your experience, but also transmute it into what you need, depending upon how your heart embraces the experience. Meaning, even if you are in a less than desirable experience, if you hold an open and nourishing heart, your heart will absorb that experience and digest it from an open and nourishing place. So it will no longer store negative or lower energy as density in the body, but will transmute it into something that eventually works in your favor. So you're no longer needing to use up a lot of energy towards healing those past experiences, right? Instead, even lower vibrational energy is used towards continuously expanding and moving you forward. This heart nourishment awakens and activates our presence in the world. How we teach others, heal others, and simply impact our surroundings based on how we are, our beingness in our environment, is what begins constantly shifting our world as how we teach ourselves and heal ourselves and be within ourselves start shifting and aligning with the increasing nourishment from our inner Divine Mother. That inner Divine Feminine is what is taking the healing of our inner child into this new level through this increase of inner nourishment and nutrients that we were previously starved from. And the thing with our inner child is essentially craving that embrace, right? That greater divine embrace, and that acceptance and that love and that nourishment from our Divine Mother. And what this does is that it allows us to work less on trying to heal our past or heal our wounds, and leaves room for us to become more in attunement with our higher self nature taking shape right now. And so this is what came through for this episode in terms of integrating that divine feminine awakening and rising within us all. And it's really helping to recalibrate us energetically in many different ways and on many different levels. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of your support. If you'd like to read the full transmission in a written form, hop on over to my newsletter. I'll post the link to my newsletter in the description of this episode, where you can receive all written transmissions straight to your inbox. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or send me an email, because I want to do a Q&A episode soon. So message me with your questions and I'll hopefully get to them on that episode. Thank you again for being here. I'll see you in the next episode. Oneness, love, and peace be with you.